When I first caught wind of Singularity, I immediately thought back to the game Time Shift. In fact, I originally thought this was some kind of sequel to that game, especially from the old screenshots scattered across the internet. Now it seems that Singularity is more like a first-person, time-traveling horror shooter instead. Yeah, that is a lot to say, but the real question is, does Singularity bring anything new to an already flooded genre?
What happened there to put Chancellor Demichev in power? What could have caused so much destruction and taken so many lives?
In Singularity, you play a mute grunt who is tasked with surveying an island with a rare element called E99. Unfortunately, during the trip, an EMP blast sends your helicopter crashing to the ground. You survive the crash and are soon tasked with finding the rest of your squad mates, but during the search you are somehow thrust back in time into a smoldering version of the building you were once in. While trying not to become a flambe yourself, you end up saving a man from falling to his doom before being thrown back into your own time. When you return, you find the man staring down at you, and your decision has completely changed the future, for the worst. Now the island is inhabited by ghoulish creatures that want nothing more but to feast on your bones, and to top things off, the world is now in the grip of Russia. It's up to Captain Nathaniel Rinko to find a way to correct his mistakes and return things to its proper order. The story will have you leaping back and forth through time trying to save important people and correct paradoxes. Normally this will make for a great storyline, but I often found myself unable to relate to the characters or even care about the situation. Most of the companions come off as bland and uninteresting a majority of the time, and the story usually doesn't do anything but lead your character down a straightforward path.
One of the lead scientists on the Singularity project built a hidden vault. You must find it. Go through there.
It doesn't help that most of the voiceover is uninspired, with the most appealing conversations occurring during flashbacks and tape recordings. While the supporting cast themselves just come off as boring, and after a while it'll just seem like they're droning on about nothing.
Name, rank, and serial number. That's all you get from us.
There actually came a time where one of the important characters did something to endanger themselves, and I kind of shrugged it off like, whatever, let's just get to the next area so I can kill stuff. The world of Singularity is pretty ugly for a next-gen title, and even on the PC the graphics don't really improve much. Most of the locales you'll visit are dreary rundown areas, so aside from some nice particle effects from manipulating time, you probably won't be too impressed with anything you see here. That especially goes for the character models in the game. They lack emotional response and stare blankly at air during conversations. The upside is that it at least has some gory deaths for the enemies you'll senselessly slaughter. There are also some weird texture pop out at the oddest times, and the environments will look downright disgusting as a result.
Over here! Come on!
The combat in the game starts off very slow, and it is kind of misleading. It takes a good hour before things start to pick up a bit, and then the game slips into very familiar territory. Very early on in the game, Rinko receives a weapon called the TMD. It is used to manipulate objects ravaged by time and open portals to different points in time. If you ever played Bioshock, Half-Life 2, or Time Shift, you'll be very familiar with the setup of things here. The special abilities range from a time manipulation gun that can age and regenerate enemies and objects, to a gravity gun that can be used to pick up items to decimate foes, while the final ability can be used to turn enemies into hungry ghouls to attack their friends. Now if that seems a bit familiar, the weapon upgrade system is basically straight out of Bioshock. It even uses the same vendor-style storage chests scattered throughout the levels. From here you can choose a wide array of upgrades that can boost your character's stats in different ways. You can find these upgrades by locating blueprints in each level. The weapons work in a similar way, with you having the choice of upgrading damage, reload speed, and ammo capacity. The weapons are also of the standard variety, ranging from your basic assault rifle to an insanely high damage cannon. The only problem is that most of the actual combat lacks the panache of the games that this one is mimicking. A lot of the gunfights don't seem very challenging or interesting most of the time, and even with all the cool gadgets I found things to be a bit stale. The cause might actually be that the AI does one of two things. They either charge headlong at you, or they just hide and cover and wait for you to run over to them. There were also times where I was standing in a room with a few enemies, and they shoot once and then do nothing for about 3 seconds and take another shot. On other times they'll just fire blindly at your position without a thought. Even the guys that look like Isaac from Dead Space were just rifling off at me without thinking. It made the experience uneventful, and I felt like I was forcing myself to continue playing. So with that said, I really wanted to give Singularity a chance. I played it for a fair amount of time after that moment where I felt like, hey, this is probably where I should half-ass this, but I deliberately forced myself on to see if things picked up. And to my disappointment, things only got more out of control. I will state that I love everything that has to do with time manipulation, but it isn't really used that well in Singularity. I recommend this as a rent for the hardcore and a pass for someone casual. So Singularity receives a C- from us here at Half-Ass Gaming, and thank you for watching.